my friends, Kelly here. I'm straight out of the shower, wet hair, as you can see. I got really excited while I was in the shower to talk to you guys about what I want to talk to you about today. So I couldn't wait. Here I am talking to you about a concept that I refer to as whole body enlivenment. And this concept, when I learned it during my yoga teacher training, absolutely changed the way that I practice on my mat and off the mat as well. So today I want to talk to you about what whole body enlivenment is, what it means, why it's important, and how to apply it to your life both on and off the mat. So what brought this into my mind, I've been very inspired by my mom's yoga practice lately. She's been practicing with me for years now. She comes to my yin restorative class every Saturday, but she's been really hesitant to dive into a flow or vinyasa practice. And so it wasn't until quarantine, where we were stuck at home, where I'm teaching out of my home via Zoom, that she finally kind of gained the confidence to practice some vinyasa. So I've been really proud of her, and it's been really cool to see her as a beginner on her mat, kind of navigating these pretty challenging sequences and trying to kind of figure out her body and how to move in this new way. So we practiced on Wednesday. It was the back body activation class, which is also on my YouTube channel. And there was a pretty challenging standing series that involved a lot of tricky balances and transitions. And at the end of practice, she was very frustrated about not feeling graceful and strong in the practice. She was pretty wobbly as we were moving through that standing series, and she was like, I just can't figure out how to feel stable and strong and balanced. And so I talked to her about this concept, whole body enlivenment. So the best way that I can explain and demonstrate this concept, or the way that I like to demonstrate it, is through Tadasana, or mountain pose. So if you would love to join me and kind of experience it in your own body, go ahead and stand up. No mat needed, just standing up exactly where you are. So I want you to feel what it feels like to stand here in Tadasana with very little effort. Head stacked over shoulders, shoulders over pelvis, pelvis over knees, knees over ankles. All your joints are stacked one on top of the other, so there's this erect, balanced position, but all of your muscles, everything is kind of just hanging on or off of the skeleton. So this is unenlivened, if you will. There's not a lot of activation. There's not a lot of mind-muscle connection. So go ahead and close down the eyes. And allowing the eyes to close and practicing this enlivenment really helps to anchor the mind within each muscle as we work to bring it to life. So starting with our foundation, send your awareness, send your mind all the way down into the feet, specifically the soles of the feet. You might lift the toes, spread them a little wider, feeling the entire foot, the entire base foundation of your being spread out and get a little more supportive beneath you. Feel the soles of the feet connect to the earth, even distribution of weight between all edges and corners of the feet. Allow your awareness to start to travel up the leg a little bit, so the lower leg. Feel the inner ankles, the inner seam of the low leg, enliven and energize towards one another, so towards the midline. Moving up the leg, feel the quads slightly engaged, inner thighs enliven towards one another, and it's not super active, it's just a really subtle activation of these muscles. You're not flexing them hard, but feeling them turn on, definitely. Feel the outer hips hugging in towards the midline. Glutes are firm, but they're not squeezing. Taking your awareness up to the torso, the abdomen. feeling that entire 360 degrees of the core, that core set, if you will, hugging in towards the spine. It's almost a feeling of drawing the rib cage up away from the pelvis. So you're trying to get a little longer through the sides of your waist and then hugging everything in towards the midline. It's subtle. You might not be able to see it, or someone might not be able, or a teacher may not see you making this adjustment, but you can certainly feel it internally. Moving up to the chest and the shoulders. First, feeling the shoulder head soften down away from the ears, creating space in the neck. Feel the shoulder heads reaching for opposite sides of the room. So the collarbones begin to widen, they begin to spread. The chest becomes a little bit more open. So there's equal space and activation of front body and back body. Allow the shoulder blades to gently kiss, gently squeeze together on the back. Let your mind move into the upper arm. Feel the muscles hug towards the bones. Triceps, biceps are both active, not flexing, but active. Moving your awareness down to the forearms. Spread the fingers really wide, as if you're shooting energy out through all 10 fingers. You can even feel the activation in the palm of your hands. Energy or awareness up to the crown of your head. Feel the top of your head magnetizing up towards the sky. So as the feet are rooting down, the head is reaching up. There's this lengthening, extension happening through the entire body. And then with all of that activation, if you've lost anything as we've traveled through the body, go back to it, re-engage it, feel that enlivenment, the toes, the fingers, and then begin to breathe life into your body. Keeping all that activation. And allowing breath to flow. Take one more inhale here, feel all that energy. And one more exhale. Let it go. Gently blink the eyes open. So you can sit down if you like. So how does this help with balance and standing postures in your practice on and off the mat? So I was trying to kind of explain to my mom, especially in the beginning of a yoga practice, for instance, if I'm working into a balancing posture on one leg. It's almost as if you're standing this close to a wall, staring at a point. You're very zoomed in. So say that while I'm standing here, I'm zoomed into the wobbliness in my ankle, the instability in my lower leg. I'm definitely not thinking about whole body enlivenment. I'm not thinking about the crown of my head or my fingers. I'm focused in on this wobbly ankle. My ankle, my leg is definitely taking most of the load. Again, it's like my joints are stacked and my skeleton is stacked, but there's not a lot of engagement of all of my other faculties. So I kind of told her that as you practice, it's almost like you're stepping back away from that wall, still looking at that point, but zooming out so you can start to focus on all the other points in the body as well, kind of the big picture. So rather than efforting with that ankle, fighting the wobbliness of the ankle, how can you redistribute the effort, redistribute the weight throughout the entire body? How can you get all of your faculties of being, the connective tissue, the muscle, the bone, all of it to work together to stabilize you? So this concept is, it's interesting because it's definitely something that you have to feel internally, and it's really easy, or it's much easier to do just standing in Tadasana pose to enliven all of these parts of your body as you're standing still and upright. But as you're moving through a sequence, as you're moving through a series of challenging postures, how can you keep coming back to that idea of enlivening every single part of your body, plugging your mind into your entire being and turning that whole system on to work together. And I love practicing it in Tadasana. I think when you're moving through a posture, I always come back to checking in with, am I shooting energy out of my fingers and toes? If my fingers and toes are just wishy-washy like little noodles, limp noodles, I know that everything in between is probably not working together either. So that's a nice thing to check back in with. So this changed my life on the mat. It was something that everything becomes easier once you can really start to unionize every single part of you to work together towards something. And the way that this has helped me off the mat, I think as yogis, our goal is to learn on the mat these little threads of wisdom that we can take off the mat and weave those threads into the fabric of our life off the mat. And so this concept of whole body enlivenment has taught me so much, because it's like, you can show up, you can go through the motions, and we all do it, it's easy to just go through the motions. But when you consciously choose to turn on all of your faculties of being, so, off the mat, it means bringing your vitality, your energy, your passion to everything you do, rather than just showing up to work and family and friends and life in a dispassionate way or unenlivened way. How can you bring more of yourself into every moment? And it's a practice, and it's something you always have to remind yourself. It's almost like as you check in with your fingers and toes on the mat, how can you check in, off the mat? Am I bringing my whole self? But it's amazing once you can start to notice, because just like on the mat, when you're finally able to move in that enlivened way, everything is more graceful, everything is easier. You're efforting a little bit more, of course, but in a way that actually makes everything feel lighter and easier and more free, and less wobbly. So if you can make life off the mat feel a little less wobbly, a little more graceful by bringing more of yourself, it's beautiful. So that is really a practice that's changed my life. It's changed my practice, and I hope it changes yours too. So let me know how you've received this video. Let me know if you practice with this in mind and maybe how it changes your practice. And on Saturday this week, I don't even know what date it is because we're in quarantine, but on Saturday I'll be teaching virtually at Sojourn a noon vinyasa class all about whole body enlivenment. So if you have interest, definitely sign up, definitely join me. All right, thank you guys. Namaste.